President Donald Trump turned 71 today. Here are 29 photos of his life. On January 20, 2017, Donald J. Trump pulled off an improbable victory, becoming the 45th President of the United States. His life, much like his presidency thus far, has been well documented, for better or worse. Here are some photos of Trump's journey thus far. An original version of this post ran on June 14, Trump's 70th birthday. Bound for the rigors of business school in the future, Donald Trump received discipline at an early age by attending a military academy. There, he reportedly excelled in extracurricular activities such as being the honor cadet. As someone who loves the art of negotiation, Donald Trump was able to negotiate New York City to provide a 40-year tax abatement for the Grand Hyatt Hotel, the first ever granted to a commercial property. Governor Hugh Carey, accompanied by Trump, points to an artist's conception of the hotel that will be built on the site of the former Commodore Hotel on June 28, 1978. Master renovator, Trump offered to renovate decrepit areas in need, such as a long-closed ice skating rink, at no profit to himself, after the city's renovation effort went through 5 years of delays and more than double the original cost estimate. Here, Donald Trump poses with New York City's Parks Commissioner, Henry Stern, holding a pair of ice skates that are intended for use at the Woolman Rink in Central Park on August 7, 1986. Trump's enterprise also stretched out into sports, where he was the original owner of the New Jersey Generals of the United States Football League. Donald Trump shakes hands with Herschel Walker in New York after an agreement on a 4-year contract with the New Jersey Generals USFL football team on March 8, 1984. Trump owns a fleet of luxury helicopters. Donald Trump in front of one of 3 Sikorsky helicopters at the Port Authority's West 30th Street heliport on March 22, 1988. Trump also enjoys tennis. He even played a round, wearing his traditional suit, against the legendary Serena Williams. Donald Trump talks with his former wife, Ivana Trump, during the men's final at the US Open. Trump was also notorious for befriending attractive supermodels. His first wife, Ivana, a Czech American, was a member of the social elite. Donald Trump and his former wife, Ivana, pose outside the federal courthouse after she was sworn in as a U.S. citizen in May 1988. No expense was spared for his belongings, as Donald Trump once paid the Sultan of Brunei $30 million for a nearly 300-foot yacht. Donald Trump waves to reporters with his former wife, Ivana, as they board their luxury yacht, the Trump Princess, in New York City. Being the entertaining host, Trump also spared no expense in providing a spectacular show for friends and family. Donald Trump watches as his ex-wife, Marla Maples, gets a kiss from Earl Sinclair of TV's Dinosaurs during lunch at the Trump Plaza Hotel on November 2, 1992. As a self-proclaimed family man, Trump attended many public events and television shows with his family, even before his current campaign. Donald Trump and his daughter, Ivanka, peek over the crowd as they take in a tennis match during the US Open in New York. Trump first started showing signs of interest for a possible bid for the US presidency with the formation of a presidential exploratory committee ahead of the 2000 election. Donald Trump talks with host Larry King after taping a segment of King's CNN talk show in New York. To test the political waters, the potential Reform Party presidential candidate traveled to several areas to address party leaders. Donald Trump makes an appearance for the media atop a Beverly Hills, California, hotel on December 6, 1999. In 2005, Donald Trump married fashion designer and model Melania Trump. Donald Trump and Melania Trump leave Hollinger International's annual meeting at the Metropolitan Club in New York on May 22, 2003. As no stranger to the political process, Donald Trump was even acquainted with members of the judicial branch. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, serving as the Grand Marshal for the Daytona 500, speaks to Donald Trump on the starting grid at the Daytona International Speedway. He also became the owner of the infamous Miss Universe beauty pageant for many years. Donald Trump and Miss Connecticut, Erin Brady, pose on stage after Brady won the 2013 Miss USA pageant. Unbeknownst to many, Donald Trump is a formidable opponent on the green. He owns 15 golf courses. Donald Trump takes a swing on the 11th green of the Ocean Trails Golf Club in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. Sometimes, negotiating can be a tough sport. What better way to exert your dominance by taking the center stage among the world's most bombastic figures? Donald Trump and Bobby Lashley shaved the head of Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. Trump famously launched his presidential campaign in June 2015 by coming down an escalator in Trump Tower. Since then, he has weathered waves of controversy to become the presumptive Republican presidential nominee. As the fog of the political battlefield has cleared on the Republican side, Trump is now preparing for a likely battle with presumptive Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump looks out at the construction site of his 92-story tower along the Chicago River during a visit to his Chicago offices on April 10, 2006. Trump acknowledged that because of security concerns after the events of September 11, he abandoned plans for it to be the world's tallest building at 150 stories. Trump made his final appeal to voters in swing states as the contentious campaign drew to a close. President-elect Trump at his election night party at the Hilton Hotel in New York City. Donald Trump in New York on election night. Taking his oath of office on January 20, 2017, Trump officially becomes the 45th President of the United States. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, 2L, administers the oath of office to President Donald Trump, L, as his wife Melania Trump holds the Bible and son Barron Trump looks on the west front of the U.S. Capitol. Trump signed 90 executive actions during his first 100 days in office. Trump meets with other world leaders at the G7 summit in Taormina, Italy on May 26, 2017. After taking office, Trump's administration faltered under a series of scandals and missteps. One of these was his firing of FBI Director James Comey, who was leading an investigation into Russia's meddling in the U.S. election. President Donald Trump, L, shakes hands with James Comey, then director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, during an inaugural law enforcement officers and first responders reception in the Blue Room of the White House on January 22, 2017 in Washington, D.C. As a businessman who prides himself as a seasoned deal maker, Trump has had mixed success interacting with world leaders as president. As the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Trump observed the sacrifices made by U.S. service members on Memorial Day. President Donald Trump lays flowers on the grave of Secretary of Homeland Security John Kelly's son at Arlington National Cemetery in Arlington, Virginia. U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Robert Kelly was killed in 2010 while leading a patrol in Afghanistan. Trump's first foreign trip as president began in Saudi Arabia and ended in Italy last month. President Donald Trump waves as he exits Marine One, May 27, 2017 in Sigonella, Italy. This visit marks President Trump's last stop of his first trip abroad since taking office. In Saudi Arabia, Trump was photographed with the infamous glowing orb that took social media by storm like much of the news surrounding his fledgling presidency. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Saudi King Salman, and President Donald Trump visit a new global center for combating extremist ideology, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.